Okay, so another idea on the Hanukkah. So in general, we know that the reason why we're lighting is because we're celebrating the Nerot HaMikdash. In Beit HaMikdash, they found the Nes Pach HaShemen, but the problem is that the Pach HaShemen, meaning the way that meaning if you're doing it to reflect that miracle, so then why change? Why are you making it different? There's 4 key differences. First is the difference regarding where it's being placed. Inside the Beit HaMikdash, it was in the indoors or outdoors. It has to be outdoors in the Chanukah. Second is the amount you're lighting. The Beit HaMikdash, it was the 7, and it was a constant. The Nerot Chanukah, every day, which regardless of what the day is, the day after you're doing additional. And then obviously what time of the day you're lighting, whether it's at night or in the morning. The morning was lit in the Beit HaMikdash, and Chanukah is lit in the night. And the last point is that the context of where it was lit in the time of Shlomo HaMelech, in the time of the Beit HaMikdash, there was an abundance, there was wealth, meaning the abundance reflects also in areas of godly matters and also in physical matters. In the time of the Yevanim, in the time of the Chanukah, there was a great desperation in so many different areas, and more so, the biggest desperation was, and there was many gzerot, but more so it also came from within. There was many Jews that were not supportive of the Beit HaMikdash. There's a story in the Gemara regarding that there was an individual that advised to not, when there was a siege, and they used to put coins above the wall through a bucket to get back the korban that they needed for that day. And there was somebody from within the walls of Yerushalayim that advised in a Greek language that they, instead of providing the korban that they needed, the lamb, to put a chazir. So they put the money in the bucket, raised it up, and in return they got, instead of a kosher animal, they got a chazir. So who was the one that provided this advice? Who was the one that put it together? It was somebody from within the Yehudim. So you're an existential threat all the time, and that is the reason. That's the key difference that we find. These 4 differences that we find between the Mishkan and the Mikdash, the Mishkan and the Chanukah. Even though that one is in honor of the next, meaning we're commemorating with Chanukah the Beit HaMikdash, but because we're standing in a drastically different time. So first and foremost, when you're deficient, when the situation is deficient, there's no such scenario where a person could say it's wholesome, it's complete, it's done. But you also can't say, all right, so if it's not wholesome, let me just light 8. The only thing that could be demanded is you are improving, as they say, 1% better every day. Meaning that constant of improvement is what's demanded of you. Then there's another thing. A person can't say, well, if there's a time of crisis, so then one can't say, well, I'll do status quo and it will influence others. No, you have to go out there, do the work of lahir ta'or, to make light outside also, because you're not in a place of comfort, meaning it's a time of war. And then the last thing is you have to do it in a way where, so you have to do it in the darkness. You have to add every day, and that's because that there's a crisis out there. And the most important thing, the way it has to be done has the complete disregard for anything that's not relevant to the goal. So that means, let's say there's going to be a Yehudi Amiti event that will indicate that maybe we should accommodate that they don't want the Beit HaMikdash to be existing. You can't. It has to be saying the truth for the sake of the truth as it is, obvious, and that should be the only consideration. Now, what we find very interesting in general about Nerot Chanukah is, first of all, it's amazing. If you go out there to the people, to the public, to people that are not engaged whatsoever, you can stand in a street corner in a public place and offer Nerot Chanukah, light the Nerot Chanukah. You're going to see all walks of life fully engaged, fully enjoying it. It's something that's accepted upon entire Am Yisrael. Now, in general, we have this concept that you could make a mitzvah beautiful, and we're encouraged to make a mitzvah beautiful, right? So let's say, and the reason why is because that shows love to the mitzvah. Like if a person has a hobby, let's say a person loves cars, he could drive the same car, the 4 wheels and a steering wheel, but he's going to choose something nice. He's going to get into it. Now, the thing is, so when a person gets into something, when he does it like extra beautiful for no reason, no apparent reason, because it'll get you to the point A to point B regardless, that shows on love on the idea, and therefore the mitzvah, when you have your passion in the mitzvah, naturally it's going to be a hidur mitzvah. It's going to be something done with a lot of beauty. Now, that's the general idea that we find. However, and I'll just tell it to you like this, that there's no scenario that there could be beyond that, because it says if you want to add in the mitzvah, let's say a third more of the value. Let's say you want to add more dollar amount, right? So a third more in the price, and then the Gemara quotes it says by Marava Amri in Yerushalayim, they say in Israel, they say that you could give more than a third, but that the zechut for that beyond that third, you're only going to see b'chayei olam haba. So anything that's beyond the basic is always considered behidur. You're beautifying it, and that categorizes everything. One area we find there's a concept of hidur mina hidur. It's like this. It's like this outlier that doesn't exist. It's not the scenario that it could exist, and that's in the time of the Bet HaMikdash. That's in the time of the Chanukah. Now, so aside from the fact that it doesn't exist anywhere else, it brings the hidur mina hidur in a place. It only exists in this mitzvah. And again, we find it that it's accepted. Not only is the entire mitzvah accepted, the base of the mitzvah is accepted, but the hidur mina hidur is accepted upon Olam Yisrael. They all know, how do you like Chanukah candles? 1 until 8, even though that's a hidur mina hidur. So the concept here is back in one service to Hashem. There's a baseline. You could do what you need to do, right? There's a manual that you need to follow. Then the person could say, there's a hidur. As in he wants to do beyond, because his love to Hashem is so great. His passion, he wants to do beyond. That Hashem reciprocates in the same scenario. There is a natural order of things where a person does mitzvah, like it said, you're rewarded accordingly. Then there's a space of a hidur. That means that there's a love to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that one has, and therefore he does it with such different type of passion. And that is brought about also in the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu leads it reciprocates to him, where there is a miracle that's beyond nature, meaning we're completely throwing to the wayside whatever is protocol. That is, for example, winning the Nitzachon Milchama, right? It does statistically, it's 0% of success, because these people are weak. These people have the best strategy, best weapons, so they're losers. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu disregarded what is protocol, and he said, I'm going to make them into the winners. But it's always embedded into the existing reality that we live in. Either you follow protocol or you disregard protocol. Then there's a hidur mina hidur. Hidur mina hidur is saying that there isn't, meaning I'm not saying I'm not saying that I'm for or I'm against, or I'm following, or it's not a binary thing. There's only, because both of those kind of things follow to the wayside. And what over here we have is Mesirat Nefesh. That means that not I as an individual, I don't have a passion, not as I want to do basis. It doesn't start, the starting point is not the individual, rather it's right now there needs to be this implementation of Kadosh Baruch Hu's Ratzon, that there should be a mitzvah happening. How it's done, where it's done, in what format it's done, that is completely non-relevant. I mean, it's not that even it's, for me it's important to do it. It's not like it's my passion. It's that there's no alternative, that this thing needs to happen. This is the idea of Mesirat Nefesh. And where does that express itself? What kind of mitzvah? The mitzvah specifically of Shemen, like they say that Nes Pacha Shemen was Keneged, we light Chanukah candles in honor of the Nes Pacha Shemen. And when a Yehudi goes with that Mesirut Nefesh, what is it going to awaken? It's to awaken that internal bond that Kadosh Baruch Hu has with amongst Am Yisrael. What happened? And that eternal bond that we have to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's not measured by anything other than the Etzem Yoto Yehudi, just the fact he's a Jew. So therefore, we find specifically in this mitzvah, through the Mesirut Nefesh of the Maccabim at that point, that generated a miracle that's Nespach Hashem, and that it has to do only with regards to the neshama. It's light. It didn't integrate into the world in a real way, because this is the neshama as it is in its before it even interacted with anything other than itself. It's just expressing itself. And that is brought, once that's awakened, like it says, that Kadosh Baruch Hu loves us so much, and that why equally Am Yisrael is awakened by this mitzvah. Equally Am Yisrael is engaged with this mitzvah.